Okay, so here's my comparison between the old version of the Scarpa Phantom Tech HD and the new version of the Scarpa Phantom Tech HD. I mean, right off the bat, as you can kind of see, there's definitely been some changes. So let's kind of get into that. Probably one of the biggest things that differs between these two boots is the weight. And this was kind of a category that I wasn't actually expecting to see, because I was just kind of assuming that, you know, with the next generation of boot, you'd probably be going for a lighter weight. That's what a lot of boot manufacturers do. Whenever they kind of go with the new version, they always try to make it lighter. Sometimes I can kind of, you know, compromise the boot depending on like what materials are used. So it was kind of interesting to see that with this new version of the Scarpa boot, it actually got a little bit heavier. And I think it's actually for the better. Now what I mean by that is it kind of seems like what Scarpa was able to do with the new version of the Scarpa Phantom Tech HD was they kind of made it more robust. Now, the old version of the boot is still plenty robust. Like, this boot has seen a few seasons now, I think 3 to 4 seasons of pretty good use, and it's still in really good condition. I mean, like, there's a couple of like aesthetic things and maybe some of the PU laminates kind of delaminating, but it's not bad. And like I said, this has been through a lot of use, and realistically, it doesn't show that much sign of wear. So to hear that Scarpa kind of like added more things to the Scarpa Phantom Tech to make it more robust, it's kind of crazy. But when you look at it, it makes sense of what they did. Now the weight difference isn't like super significant. The old pair came in at 730 grams and the new pair comes in at 800 grams. So there is a difference, but you know, is it really, can you really tell, like if you just hold the two boots? Not really. They're really close to the same weight, and when you're getting to that kind of amount of grams, it really doesn't feel that different when in actual use. So yeah, so there is a weight difference, but like I said, it's an increase. And I do think that an increase of weight, if it means just adding more material to the boot to make it more durable, totally worth it. So I did mention that there is more material, and what I'm kind of more referring to is the PU laminate that's on the Scarpa Phantom Tech HD. And what I mean is this right here. This is drastically different compared to the older version of the boot. As you can kind of see right here, the PU laminate kind of stops right here, right at around the ankle, whereas this one goes up a little bit higher. And that's probably like really the only problem that I've been seeing on these Scarpa Phantom Techs is that it's delaminating like right around here, as you can kind of see right there. So it's just what I've noticed, and I think it's like probably just walking and like the boots hitting each other and maybe crampons hitting it that's just causing it to peel. So by Scarpa adding more PU laminate going up higher, it acts as more of like a scuff guard, and I think that's actually going to make, like, I don't think these boots are going to be seeing the same problems these ones do just because they went up a little bit higher. So that's really great to see. I mean, and I think that adds to the little bit of weight. Like obviously, like all the weights, not just right here. Like there's some definite changes, like whether it be the materials in the boot, because the materials have kind of changed a little bit. Now I did just say the materials are kind of different overall, and it's kind of apparent in the theming of the boot. You can just kind of see that they're just different overall. I will say that the gator kind of feels different between the two. I think they're really the same material, but this one just feels a little bit thicker for whatever reason. So take that in stride. The gator is different in terms of design as well. There is a cinch cord on the top to kind of act as like an actual gator to kind of lock it out. And you know, if you're post holing a lot, sometimes that cinch cord can really help. The old version does not have that. It's just elastic, and it's just kind of like sucks into around your calf just to kind of make that closure, whereas this one has a shock cord now. So there's a difference in the gator there. But the other big kind of difference between these two boots is that the new boots include a Recco reflector, and it's in the right boot, and specifically in the tongue of the right boot. So the addition of a Recco reflector is actually really cool. I'm really stoked that Scarpa has been able to put a Recco reflector in the boots, because you know, a Recco reflector just kind of makes you a little bit more searchable in certain circumstances. And just knowing that you've got one in your boots now, that's really cool to see. And not many boot manufacturers are doing it. So I really applaud Scarpa for being able to do that. And it's definitely a well-welcomed update between going from the old version that doesn't have it to the new version that does. And finally, probably one of the bigger changes between these two versions of the boots, other than, you know, the little bit of weight difference, the updated aesthetics of the new boot, It's actually the lacing system. And what I mean by that is Scarpa has a new lacing system for the Phantom Tech for this brand new version compared to the old version. Both are still lace-up boots, but as you can see, the new one has a lace lock, and that lace lock is awesome to have because it just means you have to adjust the boots a little bit less than you would with the previous version, because the previous version is a kind of like a full lace-up boot. Now it's not like truly a full lace-up boot. It's like the laces don't go to the, like by your toes, but they are a lace-up boot still. And what that kind of means in use is, like, let's say you're approaching the, if you've tightened your boots before the approach, they loosen up before the climb. Let's say you climb in the boots. Maybe they loosen up after you climb. Like, having a full lace up means that all the laces can kind of loosen up, and it just makes the boot feel kind of sloppy to use. Whereas the simple addition of having a lace lock in these boots makes it so realistically only the upper laces loosen up, and whereas the lower laces kind of stay in place. And that's kind of nice because it makes the sloppiness a little bit bearable, if that makes sense. Just because, you know, like, it's not tightening up around your ankle, but at least it's on kind of like your forefoot. Like, it's all tight and it's not really loosening up. So when in use, I can actually deal with it loosening up a little bit. Like, sure, it's a little bit annoying for it to loose up, but that's just kind of like the nature of lace-up boots. I mean, if you're looking to not have that, consider a boa dial boot. But laces offer a little bit something different than boa dials, because let's say, for instance, your ankle swells up. Like, I know my ankle was swelling up because I sprained it. It was kind of really nice to have laces, because if there was more pressure on the boot, I could specifically kind of choose the laces that I want to loosen up to alleviate pressure. So there is a benefit to having laces on your climbing boots. And to relieve pressure really fast, that lace lock is pretty nice because of this pull tab that it has. I mean, even when taking off the boots, you just kind of like pull the pull tab outwards and it kind of loosens up really quick, and you can kind of get your boots off a little bit faster rather than kind of having to individually go on this one. So like I said, the lace lock is definitely super nice to have, and it just kind of does set them apart. Like, this one, I feel like you're adjusting less than this one. But other than those few things, these boots are still really similar. And that's kind of a good thing, I think, because that means that Scarpa was just really kind of getting after the few things that, you know, were a quality of life thing. They didn't totally like change the whole game with the Phantom Tech. So it's nice to see this kind of gradual update, and it's not just like a full-blown like throwing out everything out the window and we're going to totally redesign the boot, because I didn't really think that it needed a redesign. Like, all the updates that are on the new version are well welcomed, and they're definitely quality of life updates. And it kind of makes the new boot a little bit more enjoyable than the old boot. But the old boot, I mean, it really put on some things that just stuck with this new version. I mean, if you're talking about like the PU laminate and the rubber toe cap, like, those things went over to the new boot. Like, why would you need to change it? Because the system's already really good. It's super durable. It gives you confidence when like jamming your boot into a crack while dry tooling. Like, that kind of durability was kind of set with the old version, and it just carried over to the new version. And like the insulation in the boot, these boots, the older version, use PrimaLoft insulation. The new boots use PrimaLoft insulation. They're both insulated by PrimaLoft, and that's awesome to see. Like, it's consistent. They work about the same. They're about the same in warmth. Maybe the new one's maybe a little bit warmer, but yeah, like, they use the same technologies. So that's great. The bottom of the boots, they're the same lug pattern. I'm pretty sure they're the same rubber outsole as well. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's kind of the true staple of these boots, is they just kind of made these boots, the new version, a little bit better and perform a little bit more, not consistent, but just, they're just a little bit better. But it's really kind of cool to see that Scarpa really didn't, like I said, just throw everything out the window and start over. Like, these versions of the Scarpa Phantom Techs were already such a great boot and an iconic boot, and now they just made them more iconic. So overall, the comparison between them, they are pretty much the same. I mean, with a little bit of the weight difference and a little bit aesthetic updates and like everything I said, they do differ a little bit, but they climb practically the same. They're both a lightweight, kind of sleek and nimble, sensitive boot that climbs really well, whether it be ice climbing or dry tooling or mixed climbing. They just kind of handle it all. And the benefit you get with a Scarpa boot is these boots are kind of built like tanks. Like, these are kind of the more technical, lightweight boots, and obviously if you want a boot that's like bomb-proof, you'd go for something like the Mont Blanc Pro. But for being such a lightweight boot, these things are definitely robust. They'll definitely last a long time. They'll definitely last a lot of years of climbing, hard climbing. Like I said, these boots have seen a lot of seasons, and they look really good. And I expect the same results with the new boots. I think they're built more durable than the old boots, with that being funny to say because, again, these ones are built really durable. So I do expect these ones to last a long time, and this is kind of nice to see because at least you know that if you get this pair of boots, you'll have a great pair of ice climbing boots for many years. So that kind of does my kind of comparison between the two boots. If you have any questions about the boots, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. I am still getting more time with the Scarpa Phantom Techs, so I am kind of learning the boot as I go, so I might be able to answer questions farther down the road too. But yeah, so thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.